Hey folks, welcome to Herdwatching. We are on our way home from picking up an air conditioner and some other stuff. It is the weekend before the 4th of July, and we are going to talk about the recent Supreme Court decision that affects the way public sector or unions operating in the public sector can collect dues. Now, in order to help with this, you need to understand the life cycle that exists between the DNC and public sector unions, and it goes like this. The unions collect money from their people. The union bosses take a bunch of that money and go live their life very well. Much like most, non-profit organizations, it's really a money laundering system. But anyway, this is why organized crime was such a big fan of the unions, right? Now, the unions then also get to use a fair amount of that money for lobbying, and obviously they're going to go and plow money into the pockets of those politicians who vote to increase the power of the unions, because that would be, it's not even unreasonable, right? And so the politicians that they elect then go ahead and pass laws like all government jobs need to be done by unions, or unions must represent X percent of the workers on any job, or all the workers within a particular trade need to be in the union, or if you're in the union, you're assumed to be certified, but if you're not in the union, then you need to be certified individually, and it costs $1 billion. Whatever sweetheart, weird regulatory detail they put in, what it comes down to is they're forcing more and more and more and more people to pay union dues, which means there's more money for the union bosses, and it means the union bosses can plow more money into lobbying. Now, again, that little life cycle is maybe not necessarily criminal, right? But it starts to become a real problem when what they do is pass laws that shut down the opportunity for a non-union shop to bid for a government contract. And when you know that all the jobs have to go to the union, and you know that there's no option, then what the unions do is they all get together and they inflate the price of the job that they're bidding on the government on, because the government can't not go to a union shop. And since neither the government nor the union workers care actually how much the job costs, because they're just spending taxpayer money, what happens is the cost spiral. The money being plowed into the union spirals, and the money getting then plowed into the Democratic Convention goes way out of hand. This is why you see this sort of lockstep parasite relationship between the unions and the DNC, and it's hard to tell at any given moment in time which one is the parasite on the other. Now, what would be the normal check on this cycle? Well, the normal check on this cycle would be, are the unions actually providing a benefit that the workers want? And the way you would normally know that is, do workers choose to be part of the union? If overwhelmingly workers voluntarily decide that the union is worth their union dues, then more power to them. That's the free market at work. If union jobs genuinely mean that the workers are better skilled and better trained, then those companies that are union shops should be in a position to compete and win their bids on the basis of cost, efficiency, being on time, and quality of work. So in both of those cases, the natural check on the corruption that is this life cycle is the free market. Free market in the form of the union having to fight for the workers, and free market in the form of union companies having to fight for the contracts. Once the government steps in and forces everyone to join the union or pay union dues anyway, and forces contracts to only go to union shops, then the checks and balances that are normally provided by the free market are destroyed, and you get corruption, if not provable criminal activity. So this went all the way to the Supreme Court. And it went to the Supreme Court in part because since the union uses the money for political lobbying, it is tantamount to speech. Now, it's protected speech, but it's political speech. So you know for a fact that your union dues are being used for a political purpose. But if you don't share that political purpose, and the government is forcing you to join the union, then the government is in effect forcing you to contribute money to political speech with which you disagree. And that's the part where things get iffy. So it went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has now decided that in many circumstances you cannot force workers to be part of a union and pay union dues if they do not wish to do so. And commensurately, that in some circumstances, many circumstances, the government cannot compel union membership as a condition of employment. The unions are losing their freaking minds because they know they cannot compete for worker contributions on the basis of value that they return, because they return essentially no value to most workers. Almost every union worker I know, when you speak to them in private, when they know there isn't a union rep around, knows that unions do everything possible to promote the worst possible workers and grind down the good guys. If you're a fantastic plumber and you show up on a job and you're kicking ass and working hard and getting shit done, you know that a bunch of union guys are going to pull you aside and be like, dude, you got to slow it down. Don't work so hard. You're going to ruin it for everybody. You know that you're not going to get promoted. You know it's going to be some schlub who's doing nothing, who's just been sitting on his ass for the right number of years. If you're a teacher, you know that a garbage teacher is going to get promoted before you. And you know that the worst teachers are not going to be able to get fired. You know this. You know it. So you know most unions suck. Whatever their historical value may have been, or whatever their value they have in some areas, that value is only demonstrated when people are free to join the union and they choose to do so, and the union then provides the service that they promised they would provide. Anyway, so the unions in California and many places, and teachers unions and a whole lot of these essentially government-run unions, are now in real trouble because they're going to see exactly how many of the people under them do not want to fund their bullshit anymore. And they're losing their minds because they are in no position to compete for union dollars on the basis of what value they've provided. They provide none. And the Democratic Party is flipping out because what's going to happen when the unions don't have all this money anymore to plow into promoting people who promise to do something that is now unconstitutional? So the Democrats are going to lose a lot of money. The unions are going to lose a lot of money. The free market is going to gain a lot of freedom and competition, and everything is going to get better for almost everybody else. If you're a good worker, your life just got better. If you are a good company who wants to compete for government contracts, your life just got better. If you're a individual who cares about freedom, your life just got better. But if you are a corrupt union boss, a socialist, a collectivist, or someone who believes that the right answer is forcing people to fund organizations and speech they disagree with, then you had a horrible day. And you know what? Good. I'm glad you had a horrible day, because you deserve to have a horrible day. Because this was a horrible, horrible state of affairs. It was corrupting, and it was corrupt, and it was one of the gears that was grinding us inevitably towards socialism and collectivism, because unions are one of the places where that crap starts. Anyway, that's my discussion on the... All right, so my phone overheated, so I'm going to wind up wrap up this thing about the SCOTUS decision. Anyway, I will put the full title of the decision. I'll put a link to the full text of the decision in the bottom of this. And I also wanted to let you know that Herdwatching is now available on iTunes as an audio podcast. So as much fun as it is watching me drive and being able to see the look on my face, if you cannot do that, if you need to commute to work or whatever, go ahead, go to iTunes, or go to the link that's on herdwatching.com, or go to the link that's in the description below here, and you can subscribe to the podcast in your favorite pod software, and you'll be able to listen to me even when you can't watch me. All right, guys, talk to you later on. Bye-bye.